What is up, guys? Alex Scott here with jamplay.com, and welcome back to Bass Guitar 101. This is an ongoing live course that we've been doing for you guys 10 weeks. This is week number 2. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Alex Scott, and I am here to give you guys a little bit of an overview, an introduction, if you will, to this wonderful, wonderful instrument I have here in front of me, the 4-string bass guitar. Now, if you guys tuned in last week, you got a little bit of an overview of what we're going to be doing over the course of the coming weeks. And for those of us who are just joining us this week fresh, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Anybody tuning in again from last week, thanks so much for coming back. Great to see you again. We are doing just sort of a general 10-week kind of 101 style course to give you guys an introduction to the bass guitar. Whether you are a guitar player or a piano player or something like that, and you're interested in learning the bass, or somebody who has never played a musical instrument before and the bass guitar has caught your eye, this course is 100% for you guys. We're starting kind of at the very beginning last week, and we're going to work you guys through learning the fundamentals of the instrument, a really good foundation to continue your bass playing interests. Last week, week 1, we went over the physical components of the instrument, the bridge and the pickups and knobs and neck and fretboard and all kinds of fun stuff. And we also sort of got into a little bit of how to hold the instrument, how to properly pluck and fret the strings, all that kind of good stuff. Now, keep in mind, guys, if you are a subscribed JamPlay member, we do have a series of guided practice lessons that go along with this whole course. Starting this week and over the course of the next 8 weeks now, I guess, we are going to be having some backing tracks for you guys to play along with. Each lesson is going to have 1 or 2 different backing tracks to accompany it that you guys can play along with as you're kind of getting your hands around the instrument. Those backing tracks are going to be provided for you guys at 3 different tempos or 3 different speeds. So you can start with a slow one, move to a medium one, and then there is a fast one as well for all these different exercises. So kind of the idea is we go over this stuff in the live event, and you guys can, of course, jump in with Q&A a little bit later in the lesson. And then you guys can go off on your own and do these guided practice lessons throughout the course of the week, kind of get the exercises under your fingers and have the opportunity to really practice along at your own pace and sort of do it at the tempos that you feel comfortable with and work up, according to how comfortable you are speed-wise and technique-wise and all that kind of stuff. So again, last week we kind of did a whole general overview of the instrument. We didn't have a backing track for you last week because we were really just getting started, very first introduction. But today we have not 1 but 2 really, really cool backing tracks that we're going to start playing along with as we play our very first certified notes on the bass guitar. So just to run in real quick here, I want to just do a quick recap, either for those of you who were with us last week and want a bit of a refresher, or for anybody who's tuning in new. I just want to talk real quick about how we hold the bass, this is going to be a refresher from last week. So, always good to revisit previous material and make sure that we're doing good on it. So, the main point that I was getting at last week, and that I always get at when teaching anybody new stuff about bass guitar, is the most important thing in your playing is that your hands need to be relaxed and they need to be in a very natural position. So just like we were talking about last week, there's 2 really easy tricks, 1 for each hand, to kind of keep you reminded of keeping your hands relaxed and in the proper playing position. So we will start with our right hand, or dominant hand. So if you're a left-handed bass player, you're playing a left-handed bass, your plucking hand is going to be your dominant hand, typically. So for me, it's the right. For a lot of people, it's the right. For some folks, it's the left. But it's kind of what I'm talking about is your picking hand. And what you're going to want to aim for here is what I call the walking man. And it's just that. You make a little man with your fingers, and you can walk him up your fretboard. This is the general motion that you're going to want to use to pluck the strings. So you're going to take your hand take your arm, put generally about middle of the forearm here on your arm cutaway on your bass. Let your hand dangle really, really naturally. You're going to take your thumb, plant it on top of that pickup, okay? Or if your bass has two pickups, whichever one is more comfortable. And you're going to want to make your little walking man just like that. And that's how we are going to approach playing our strings, okay? Just like that, nice and relaxed. That's what our exercise today is going to be mainly focused on, is our dominant hand, our plucking hand, and just working with the open strings of the instrument and sort of getting acquainted to playing our first couple sort of song ideas with just our right hand. Now, your left hand, your non-dominant hand, your fretting hand, I always compare proper positioning here to like eating a sandwich or eating a taco, something like this. Again, you guys, well, if you were tuned in last week, will remember this analogy, but it's pretty easy. You just pretend there's a sandwich on a plate in front of you, reach out, grab it, take a bite if you want, but just generally this nice, relaxed, open sort of shape, and you're going to want to plant your thumb right in the middle of the neck. This bass, a lot of basses have some kind of wooden stripe running through the neck, and that's a really, really great placeholder for knowing where to put that fretting hand thumb. And putting your thumb there is going to provide a lot of counter tension for you. When you are fretting the strings, it's going to provide a really, really strong, solid foundation to back your other fingers up on the other side and to really make fretting those strings a little bit easier. So you got your sandwich shape, bring it right around, and then all your fingers should pretty much just naturally fall right over a couple of frets. Just like that. So you see I've got my nice natural sort of sandwich eating shape here, and then it just comes right up just like that. Nice and easy. And again, as we're doing any of this stuff, you're really going to want to make sure that your hands are as relaxed as possible. You don't want them to be super tense and crazy and stressed out. Number one thing that I see, particularly with the plucking hand, is the pinky. I call it fancy hand. The pinky will kind of go a little bit crazy, and you'll see guys doing this kind of stuff, and their pinkies sticking out all weird, or their hands all cramped in some kind of weird way. We want to avoid that at all costs, because even right from the very get-go, you guys just starting out, you're building muscle memory in your fingers and in your hands, and you're teaching them a whole new set of tasks that they're not used to doing. So if you allow them to be stressed out and not relaxed, they're going to learn that that's the right way to play bass, even if that's not your intent. That's what your muscles are going to take away from the experience. So you want to make sure that your hand is nice and relaxed at all times. And if you ever find that you're practicing or playing an exercise or something and your hands feel really uncomfortable or they feel really tight, you want to stop, slow it down, play it a little bit slower, find a speed where you can play it very, very relaxed. That's why with a lot of these guided practice and the backing tracks, we've got them for you at different tempos. So you can go slow or medium or a little bit faster, whatever is comfortable and easy and relaxed for your hands. So we'll lead right from that into our very first exercise here, which is really, really cool. We're actually going to be playing a couple of songs today, which might sound a little bit intimidating, but do not worry. It's going to be really, really easy. It's going to be a lot of fun. And all we're going to be focusing on is these backing tracks are designed to go along with just playing just the open strings. So you don't even really need to worry a whole lot about that fretting hand. I recommend keeping it in place, but you're not going to be fretting or moving this around really. The only thing you're going to be doing with your fretting hand is muting the strings by gently touching them. And we're going to get into that in a moment here. So let's pull up our supplemental material for this lesson, our notation. Now, for a lot of you guys, this is probably the first time you've seen a piece of paper like this, or an image like this, I guess, since it's on a screen. But there's actually two things going on screen here. This is what we call notation and tablature, okay? So notation, if you look on the left-hand side, of the sheet that's being displayed on the screen right now, you'll see that there's a bracket. And that bracket sort of covers two lines. The top line starts with sort of a funny little backward C with two dots and two number 4s, okay? And then has quite a few lines. The line beneath it has only 4 lines and just has zeros on it. It says TAB, tab, along the very left-hand side of the screen. So the top line is our musical notation. This is proper sheet music as it would be notated, in an orchestra or something like that. The bottom line is your tablature, which tablature is a little bit more specific to bass and guitar. The main difference between these two systems of writing music, which that's exactly what they are, is they're just a way for you to write down notes and rhythms and songs, essentially, or bass lines in our case, and so that you can give them to somebody else and they can read them and play exactly the same thing that you played. The main difference between the two systems, musical notation relies on the notes. Now, musical notation can get a little bit complicated, so I'm not going to do a ton of covering it here. What I will say is there are a lot of really, really great lessons on jamplay.com. If you guys are already subscribers, you can take full advantage of that. If you're not subscribers, I highly recommend going and signing up because you'll get not only access to guided practice for this course, but thousands of other really great guitar and bass lessons, as well as lessons on musical notation. I'd recommend heading over there, searching around a little bit, and finding any one of the awesome lessons that we have on Jamplay regarding music notation, because it's a bit of a beast as far as explaining it and learning it. So we don't, unfortunately, have a ton of time to cover that in this course, but head over to the website, watch one of those videos. It'll get you right up to speed with understanding what we're talking about. What I am going to focus on is that bottom line, the tablature line. It's a lot more simple for folks who are just starting out. And all it is each line corresponds to a string, okay? So, and it goes by pitch. So the top line on the page is going to be your highest pitched string. And then the second line down, the next string down, and so on and so forth to where the lowest line is going to be your lowest pitched string, okay? So you can almost think of it from your perspective. If you, as you sit there right now, look down at your bass and say, okay, top line on the sheet, from where I'm looking, is going to be the top string. And so on and so forth. Second line down, second string down from my perspective. And so on and so forth to where that lowest string, as I look at my bass, is going to be the bottom line on that tablature section of our page. So that's what the lines mean. Now, the zeros simply indicate that you're playing the string open. You're not fretting. If that 0 was a 1, it would be your first fret. 2 would be second fret, 3, third fret, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all the way up to 20 on each string. At least that's for this bass. So that's what the numbers mean. And we'll be using this tablature system throughout all of these lessons, and I use it in all of my other lessons on the website. So it's pretty straightforward, and it's pretty easy to understand just jumping in. You just look at the line and say, okay, it's the bottom line, so I know that it's my lowest string. And then you look at the number and you say, okay, maybe it's a 3, that's going to be the third fret of my lowest pitched string, okay? So that's a quick introduction to tablature for you guys. Like I said, today we're only going to be worrying about playing open strings, which is why they're all zeros. Our left hand is just going to be, or our fretting hand rather, is just going to be hanging out and helping us to mute the strings as we play them. So that's kind of what's going on there. The other thing that we're going to be talking about are rhythms and counting, okay? So most everything you've ever heard on the radio, most of the songs that you love, are in the time signature of 4/4. Now, time signature, that's my watch doesn't sign any documents. I don't know what you're talking about with time signature. That doesn't make any sense. Time signature is a musical idea that helps us keep track of the rhythm and the timing in a song. So saying that it's in 4/4 means that there are 4 beats in every measure, okay? So a measure is just kind of one little section of a piece of music. And, if you've ever clapped along to a song or been at a concert or something, you're probably familiar with counting out the rhythm of the song. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. And that's what 4/4 means. It means you've got 4 beats in a bar, and those beats are quarter notes. Okay, it's 1/4 of a bar divided into 4 pieces. You get quarter notes, 4/4 time. Almost all sort of Western music, rock music, blues, most jazz, it's all pretty much going to be in 4/4. There are other time signatures, but we won't worry about that for right now. For everything that we're going to be doing in this course, we're going to be focusing exclusively on 4/4 because it is by far, absolutely the most common and popular time signature. So what we have on our screen, the first 2 sections of notation. So you've got the brackets like I was talking about at the beginning, which are on the left-hand side of the screen, right? Our top line is our notation, and our bottom line is our tablature. Well, we have 3 different chunks, right? We have top one, middle one, and a bottom one. So we're going to be looking at the top 2. That's our first sort of exercise, okay? And then that bottom 2 lines, is going to be a second exercise. So those first 2 bracketed sections, okay? We're going to play that whole thing from start to finish here in just a moment. Now, you'll notice that there's these vertical lines that run and cut each line into 4 sections. Those are bar lines. This is what delineates the bar. Now, each note that we have is going to be a whole note, okay? And when we say a whole note, we mean that note encompasses a whole bar. It's an entire bar, so it gets 4 counts. That's the important part. Each note in this first exercise we're going to be playing, we're going to count to 4 and then move to the next note, which is going to be in the next bar, okay? So let's just take a look at our very first line here. Well, the very first thing that we see is, again, if we look at our tab section, we see that it's the bottom line, and it's a 0, and that encompasses the entirety of that bar. So when we see that, we know that we are going to look down at our strings. We're going to go, okay, top, second, third, bottom. So it's going to be our lowest string here, which is an E, okay, is the note that the string is tuned to. So we're just going to, using our little walking man idea here, pluck that one string, and you're going to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's simple. The second bar, okay, moving to the second on the, after that first vertical line there, we see that it's the next string over. This is our A string, okay? So same idea. We're going to use our little walking man shape. We're going to move up, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to count to 4 at the second that we strike that string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Same thing. You guys are probably noticing a pattern here at this point. Next string up is going to be our D string, and we look at our next bar. It's indicated that we play that one, and we count to 4 as it's a whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then lastly, we get to our highest pitch string. Okay, again, our top string from your perspective looking at your bass. It's going to be our G string, and we're going to play that string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? We've just tackled our first 4 bars of notation. Great job. And then if you look at the next 4 bars, which is, again, this is the second bracket, the middle bracket of everything you see on your screen, it's basically exactly the same thing. It's just reversed. So instead of starting on our lowest pitch string here, you can see we're starting on the string we actually just played. We're going to play it again. That G string, our highest pitch string. 1, 2, 3, 4. From there, we just continue to reverse the pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now you'll notice at the beginning and end of this whole thing that we just covered, you have 2 vertical lines and then the 2 dots. Okay? You've got that at the beginning, and then you've got that at the end. This is called a repeat sign, and it means exactly as it sounds. It means that you're going to repeat that section until in this case, until the piece of music that we're going to be playing along with ends. And you're going to notice that we've got some keyboards, we've got some guitar, we've got some drums, but they're all playing along to the pitches of these open strings, okay? So before we cue up this backing track here, I'm going to go ahead and start a metronome, and we can go ahead and I'll count out loud, and you guys can watch as we just play through these strings just with a metronome. We're not going to worry about the full band quite yet. So let's just pull up a click, and I'll play along with it. You guys can follow along with me, and that'll sort of give us an outline for what we're trying to do here. So pull up our click track here. One, right? So you'll hear one of the clicks is higher pitched. We know that that is the first beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's called an accent, okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. So that is sort of the idea that we're going for here. Is just striking each of the strings, counting to 4 in a rhythmic fashion, and then moving to the next string until we reach the top, and then starting again at the top and going back down your strings. That's kind of the idea of this exercise, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing with the backing tracks here in just a moment. So let's go ahead and pull up our backing track. You're going to hear 2 bars, okay, 2 measures of the click before the song actually starts. So this is going to be 8 counts, okay? So you're going to hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Then the song is going to start, and we're going to know that it's time to pluck that first string. And this track also includes the counting to help you guys sort of stay lined up with where you are in that 4 count in every bar. So let's go ahead. I'm going to start the backing track. We'll hear those the clicks leading into it, and then we will play along with it and see how it goes. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you go. Congratulations, you just played your first little part of a song on bass guitar. If you're playing along, awesome, awesome, awesome job. You just took your first step in what could be a very long and very fun musical journey. So great job. Now, one thing you guys might have noticed as I was doing that is as I was coming back down the strings in pitch, starting there and then moving down, my left hand, okay, my fretting hand up here, you can just very gently touch, just like that. The string to stop it from vibrating cleanly. So there's no, sort of after ring or buzz or anything like that, just sounding the note and then stopping the note. So at first, don't worry about that, but the more that you play with these guided tracks, I would encourage you guys to start kind of thinking about incorporating that into what you're doing, because that's going to be another important skill as we go down the road, is the ability to mute those strings as you're playing. And it's going to be, a little bit of a brain jumble at first, going, okay, well, I've got to pick here, and then as I touch that, I have to pick the next string, and then touch and pick, all the way down. Okay. So start to try to work that in a little bit as you're working with these backing tracks, because that's going to make instead of just letting them all ring, and then you can kind of end up with just a lot of sound coming out of your bass that you don't necessarily want. So yeah, that's kind of our first exercise here is that track. Now I do have that track at a slightly faster speed and then an even faster speed than that. So on your own, like I said, go back over to jamplay.com there, and you guys can check out these backing tracks at these different tempos. So once what we just did was comfortable, you can speed it up a little bit. And then once that's comfortable, you can then speed it up a little bit even further and really get comfortable with this exercise. Now, the next one that we are going to move on to, and this is going to be the bottom bracket, okay, on the tablature that we have on screen for you. This is going to be the bottom two lines, the top line, or the line of notation, and then the line of tablature. It's going to be basically the same thing, but instead of only playing the next string on the 1, okay, on that first beat, whenever I'm saying 1, that's what we're shooting for there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. Or, well, sorry, I keep counting that way. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? What we were just doing. You are going to want to do it twice as often, okay? So on the 1 and then on the 3 of that same measure, we're going to change string, okay? So it's going to happen twice as fast. Now, this sounds challenging, and it might be for some of you, but again, since we're starting at such slow tempos, this is going to be a little bit easier to wrap your fingers around, because you're going to have a lot of time in between each note still, even doing it twice as fast, to sort of get your fingers ready to pluck that next string. So before, we were going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're now changing on the 1 as well as on the 3. Okay, so we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's just happening twice as often. These are called half notes. Okay, we were just doing whole notes that get a whole bar. These are half notes that get half of a bar, or 2 beats. Okay, so go ahead and pull up the metronome again here, and I'll just play through this exercise once through, and count along so that you guys can hear the strings changing on that first and then the third beat of each bar. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Now, if this is a little bit too rapid, that's totally okay. Stick with the first exercise. Do that until it's comfortable. Up that tempo a little bit. Do it until it's comfortable. And then you can move on to the slower version of this half note exercise, okay? So let's just take a listen to it along with this second backing track that we have for you guys, which is very similar to the first one, but also incorporates this half note rhythm.
Hey, Alex, just want to jump in real quick and
Absolutely,
just
sir.
let everybody know if they have any questions to go ahead and type them in the chat, and we'll pass them along to you. We're going to do a Q&A here in just a little bit.
Absolutely. We're going to run through this exercise, and then any questions you guys have about these exercises, the course in general, or just anything about bass guitar or music in general, please, please, please shoot those questions over into the chat box, and Captain Chris over here will get them directly to me, and you guys and me can have a little bit of a conversation about this here, because I always want to hear what you're wondering about, and get get the interactivity going on, so to speak. So let's listen to this this backing track exercise real quick, and then we'll see if you guys have any questions. All right. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, and repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, and repeat again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3. Last time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. So there you go. There's our half note exercise. Definitely a little bit faster, but again, you have a fair amount of time in between each of these notes to be able to really concentrate and tell your fingers where they need to go next. Now, a lot of people will ask me with an exercise like this, is there a particular order? Should I be using my index and then my middle and then should I be walking across like that, or should I only use one on the way up and then the other on the way down? My response to that is always do it all. As many different combinations of these things as you can come up with. Do only index, only middle, alternating starting on the middle, alternating starting on the index, 2 on the index, then 2 on the middle, and then 2 on the middle, and then 2 on the index. Any sort of combination you can come up with, do it all. Find whatever is the most comfortable for your hand, because everybody's fingers are going to be a little bit different length. Their hands are going to have different muscle groups that are stronger than others. All of our biologies are different, and our bone structure and muscle structure and all that stuff, it varies from person to person. So, it's going to be what is most comfortable and most relaxed for you is going to be probably different than what it is for me. So find that sweet spot. Whatever is easiest and most comfortable and most relaxed for your hand is what I would definitely recommend sort of focusing on and going with, because it's really, again, the key to all this stuff is you just want to stay relaxed. You don't want it to be tense or awkward or rigid or anything like that. You want your hand to be as relaxed and sort of calm and loose as possible is really the goal. It's how you create a foundation for really great playing technique moving forward. So those are our 2 backing tracks for you guys to play along with. If you guys are following at home and playing along with me at home, great job. Again, you guys just played pretty much like a whole song on your bass. Second day of ever playing bass, or at least I guess second week if you've been practicing since last week, and you guys are already on to playing songs. So awesome job. Let's jump over to Captain Chris. Do we have anybody jumping in with any questions?
Yeah, we do have one question here, Alex.
Excellent.
This is from Boondock Saint 408. Where you pluck the strings seems to have a great deal to do with the tone. What do you recommend?
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, Boondock Saint. I think I saw you last week, so thanks for checking back in. Very cool. And you are absolutely right, 1,000%. And I recommend starting with wherever on the bass is most comfortable for your hand, essentially. What that is for most people is the pickup. On this bass, I only have one pickup here. I mean, it's technically 2, but they function as one, just this one here. On a lot of people's bass, they might have one a little bit closer to our neck, and then one a little bit closer to the bridge. If your bass has 2 pickups, I usually recommend starting with the neck pickup, because it's going to be a little bit more relaxed for your wrist and your arm, as sort of trying to get it down here, even for me, can put my wrist into kind of a weird position. But you're absolutely right, and if we listen closely, playing it down here next to the bridge, as opposed to way up here, you get massively different tones. depending on where we pluck that string. And for me, as a guy who goes out and performs a lot of concerts and stuff like that, what you're talking about is actually really critical to how I do my job as a professional bass player. In that, if it's, I know for me on all my basses, the more towards the middle of the string you play, the more sort of low end bass frequencies you're going to create. So if I'm playing up here, it's going to be very, very low end heavy. So I might do that on a reggae gig. I might play and really get that heavy duty low fundamental. Whereas if I'm doing something like jazz, I'm going to move down here. And it's going to give me, without turning any knobs or doing anything on my amplifier or anything like that, it's going to give me a variety of different sounds out of my instrument to tackle a variety of different styles of music. So as you keep practicing, this is definitely going to be something that's going to come in handy, and you're going to want to explore a little bit. For the time being, I would just say, fine, again, just dangle your arm, let it be nice and relaxed, put it on. Wherever that thumb ends up, find the closest anchor point, and just start there, because that's what's going to build this relaxed technique that I'm talking about. That's so critical, because once you have that down and sort of mastered, you can move it anywhere. And it's still going to be relaxed. Once your hands have learned what they need to do, you can put them wherever you want on the strings and get all those different tones, but with that really great relaxed technique. So awesome question, and very astute observation. Good ears for hearing that difference in tone. Something that's going to come in a lot of handy as you get further along in your bass playing journey. So thanks again, Boondock Saint. Do we have other folks who are curious about some stuff?
We do. We have a question from T. Lorps. How hard should you pluck the strings?
Tlorps. I love the name. Or T. Lorps. Thanks very much for tuning in. I would say kind of hard enough so that they, sound well, but you don't want any rattle or any buzz. So, just doing that, that's probably a little bit too soft because it's very hard to hear. The harder I pluck, hear all that nasty buzz, that's now too hard. So you want to go right in the middle to where it's not buzzing. Okay? That's too hard. You hear meow, meow, meow. Too hard. Too hard. A little bit too soft. You see, even that was a little bit too hard. Just nice, even, relatively firm, but your main cue is going to be looking out for that buzzing noise. And if you hear kind of that buzzy, kind of farty thing going on, you know that you're hitting the strings a little bit too hard. I always say, especially if you're using an amplifier, turn your amp up loud enough for you to be very relaxed and not have to pluck the strings hard at all to make them sound. Obviously you don't want to totally crank it and then just touch the string and have it explode, but the way I always learned was let the amp do the work for you. You shouldn't be having to pull the sound out of your instrument to get it to be audible. That's why we have amplifiers. That's the whole reason the bass was invented in the first place, was so that you could always just turn it up. So I would say get your amp to a volume where nice, relaxed approach is going to be nice and full volume. And what that's going to do is it's going to kind of prevent you from playing too hard, because when you start to play too hard, you're going to go, whoa, it's going to blow your, be really, really loud, make your house rattle, and all that kind of stuff. So it'll kind of be a good reminder. Because again, our main focus here in these early stages is being really, really relaxed with our hands and not overstressing them and not working them too hard and all that kind of stuff. So let the amp do the work for you. And yeah, just pay attention to the tone. And if it sounds good and just clean, you're probably in good shape. You're probably hitting them just right. You just want to look out for any of that buzzing. You don't want any of the buzzing. That's what we're trying to avoid here. So, excellent question. Thanks again for tuning in. Got anybody else curious?
That's it for right now.
Okay.
If you have questions out there, please type them in the chat.
Yeah.
And we'll get to them before we wrap up here.
Absolutely. So, what we can do here with a couple of minutes remaining, I will go ahead and we can run through our 2 exercises, but I do have the medium tempo track queued up here. So I will go ahead and play through at this a little bit faster tempo. And again, if you guys are comfortable, you can jump in with me. If not, just kind of watch, listen, pay attention to what my hands are doing, and then you guys can tackle it at your own speed along with those awesome guided practice sessions that we have on the website for you guys. So here's our first exercise again, all right? This is the top 2 bracketed sections, back to back. This is our whole notes, so each note's being held for 4 counts. So just listen to that voice in the track. 1, 2, 3, 4, switch, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So here we go. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, There you go. There is our first exercise at a little bit faster tempo. So hopefully you guys can kind of see what I talk about, or see what I mean when I'm talking about taking an exercise that you're just learning and gradually speeding it up, just a little bit by a little bit, getting your hands used to it. And then, that's going to increase your speed. It's going to make it so that you can, play a lot of different things with your hands still in this very nice, relaxed, easy kind of position that I've been talking about. So, again, any questions you guys have, please chuck them over in that chat box, whether it's these examples or these lessons or anything, or just anything about music in general, the bass, as part of a band, or if you guys are at all curious about what it's like to be a professional musician, or really anything at all, please jump in. I love to hear from you guys. I love to make this a two-way deal. So jump over there. Let me know what you're thinking. In the meantime, let me pull up the second exercise. This is our half note exercise at a little bit faster tempo. So this one's going to be the fastest thing we have done yet. So best of luck. Again, we're going to be, instead of changing 1, 2, 3, 4, next string, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're giving each one 2 beats. So 1, 2, switch, 3, 4. You're going to be playing a new string on the 1 and on the 3 of every bar. So again, listen out to that counting track here in the song, and just watch what I'm doing. Jump in if you're feeling confident, and let's see how it sounds. One, two, three, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, four, one, two, three, four, one, two, three, four, one, two, three, four. So there you go. There is our half note exercise for you guys. And again, these tracks, as well as the guided practice sessions for all of these live event courses that we're doing, are available on jamplay.com to subscribers. So if you're already a subscriber, go over there, check out our live events page, and you will find all the links to the notation we just saw on screen, the tablature, as well as these tracks, as well as the guided practice sessions, where I will walk you guys through kind of everything that we did week by week, kind of, helpful reminders of the content that we've covered, as well as playing through all these backing tracks at the slow speed, the medium speed, and then we have an even faster speed for you real confident guys out there. So yeah, definitely head over there and check that out. If you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Jamplay is an incredible resource, not just for bass guitar. There's thousands of incredible guitar lessons, songwriting lessons, just so much cool stuff waiting for you guys over there. So please go check the site out. Do we have any other folks jumping in? Okay, Chris is giving me the 1 second. We're going to get that question up for you guys in just a moment here. Yeah, like I was saying, I have an entire beginning bass course available on Jamplay that runs over some of the same material but gets a lot more in depth. It covers the tablature as well as the music notation stuff, and really goes over a lot of what we're talking about in even greater detail. So go check that out if you're able. Now, how about this question we've got coming in?
All right, another one from T. Lorps.
Indeed.
And the question is, how much time do you recommend one practice each day, each week?
Excellent question. As much as you enjoy it, keep playing. That's the easiest thing. Which I'm assuming that if you are here tuning in, you definitely enjoy it. So I would say as much time as you have, or as much time as you want to devote to it, do it. I've never liked the idea of putting time expectations on anything. The only time expectation I ever bring up with students is there's that old saying that it takes 10,000 hours to master a craft. I think that's, exactly 10. I don't think you're going to hit it 9,999, 10,000. Oh, the angels will sing and you're suddenly an incredible musician. Not necessarily, but I like that idea a lot more than 90 minutes every day or 45 minutes 3 times a week or anything like that, because it's different for everybody. I know guys who have, are in their 40s or in their 50s, and they've been playing and practicing every day for 30 or 40 years, and they still might not have gotten to where they want to get to on the instrument, but they have fun with it and they just love to play. I've then met kids who were 12 years old and can learn more than I can learn they learn what I can learn in 10 hours in 10 minutes, and they get bored. So it's different for everybody. As much as you're comfortable practicing, as much as your hands feel comfortable doing, that's really the number one indicator I would listen to, is if your hands start to get really tired, worn out, they're hurting, you're going to develop really crazy calluses. I don't know if you guys can see mine maybe a little bit on the camera there, but you're going to get calluses going on a couple different parts of both of your hands. If your fingers are in good shape and you're having fun, keep practicing. If your fingers are sore, if your hands are sore, if they're starting to tense up, get stressed out, stop. There's no shame in practicing once a week for an hour. That's totally fine. There's no shame in practicing 10 hours a day. I knew some guys who in music school, they went to school for 4 years and they checked out completely of life. They didn't have a job. They didn't have a girlfriend or boyfriend or anything. They practiced 14 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for 4 years, because that's what they wanted to do. So I don't like the idea of saying, oh, well, if you don't practice X, you're not going to Y. Or if you don't put in A time, then B will never happen, because that's just simply not how it works. Yes, obviously, the more that you practice in a given period of time, the faster you will progress generally. But, if you've got half hour a week, an hour a week, a half hour a day, an hour a day, 2 hours a day, an hour every couple of days, whatever is convenient for your schedule, whatever feels right with your body, with your hands, and however much you enjoy, don't burn yourself out, certainly. That was one of my big things when I was a little kid. My parents made me take piano lessons. I got really burnt out because the piano instructor that I was working with had a very strict 90 minutes every single day, no matter what kind of a thing. And as a little kid, I just hated it because it became a chore. It became something that was lame and something that I had to do, as opposed to something that I wanted to do or something that I got to do. And when I picked up the bass, my parents kind of saw that and they said, "Oh well, let's turn the focus a little bit and just let you go at your own pace." And I ended up practicing all the time, simply because it was something that I got to go do as opposed to something that I had to go do. So whatever's best for you, really. Yeah, that would be my input on that one. Thanks again so much for great question, T-Larps. Do we have anybody else jumping in here? Does not look like it. That is A-okay. Well, we will go ahead and wrap up for today then. Again, you can review these lessons as well as see the guided practice, download the backing tracks, as well as gain access to thousands of other incredible lessons on jamplay.com. Subscribers, go over there, look it up. If you're not subscribed, go over there and subscribe. I'm serious. It's really, really, really great site for learning anything about music. So next week, we're going to continue with these backing tracks. We're going to continue learning some basic techniques. Next week, we're going to get into playing some frets, which is going to be really, really fun. In the meantime, be well, all of you. We really, really appreciate you guys tuning in. I know I've had a great time teaching and making all these courses and tracks and stuff for you guys. So thank you very much, as always. And we will see you next week at the same time. Thanks, everybody.